Thank you so much, Jacqueline. So did the trees in your neighborhood or in your yard survive the windstorm from this past weekend where we had a lot of leaves come down, but still there are some places where the leaves are still on the trees? The most refreshing times of year, isn't it, to get outside and do your exercise outdoors? Let's turn it over to Mike now because, of course, it's October and we're talking pumpkins. And it's fun for the kids too, right, to see where it really comes from. Looking at our rainfall forecast, yeah, we do have some rain on the way for the GTA, but more so for Ottawa and Montreal and Kingston, getting almost double what we're expecting to see in terms of rainfall from our pinwheel of lows that are continuing to come through. But overall, the trend, at least for the beginning of the weekend, is looking good. Next week, some rain. Thank you so much, Andrew. We always love your space talk, don't we? Let's talk with regard to weather and viewing conditions. We can only hope that we can get through most of that showery weather before the actual eclipse happens, as Andrew was mentioning, more so like 6:30 in the morning. So the rainfall forecast now, as we look to our map, you can see Ottawa, Montreal, Kingston getting almost double what we're expecting to see in the GTA. And in terms of where this is all going, in terms of the forecast for the weekend coming up and the early part of next week for Thanksgiving, at this point it's trending a little bit warmer, maybe even high teens. There was some rumbling around here yesterday of 20 degrees in Toronto. We'll have to see. But for the most part, the weekend is shaping up pretty nicely. Thank you so much, Natalie. And, you know, we look at images like that of the snow in the winter, and we know it's just around the corner. But before we get there, we need to do some maintenance. And I'm talking about maintenance around our houses, yes, but also maintenance of our cars. And here's Kevin with some more tips. We're not talking about a lot of rainfall, but it's just that pinwheel system that we were talking about. It's continuing to do that. Another spoke making its way through. But we're definitely going to be looking at 15 to 25 millimeters of rain. Ottawa, Montreal, and Kingston seeing more so in terms of amounts than us. And the low pressure system moves off into Atlantic Canada, bringing with it the rainfall. And then beyond that, we're looking at a good trend here of high pressure and warmer temperatures into next week. So looking at our values, it comes with some rain at this point, but 17, 18 degrees, Monday being Thanksgiving, of course. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Chris. Pretty fascinating stuff. Let's hope that we can see it. And that is the question, right? Because we do have some rain that is on the way. That's because we have some rain on the way. So when we look at our rainfall, it's going to be coming through the evening and overnight. More details on that in a moment. First, though, let's go over to Mike. He's west of Kitchener. Thank you, Mike. So it can stop raining now, he says. Let's take a look at where we are going to be in terms of this rainfall. In terms of the rainfall forecast from this point forward, we're going to expect to see another 5 to 15 millimeters of rain. But you can see here that clearly Ottawa and Montreal are getting far, far more than we're expecting. And this is all pinwheeling around our low. It's moving through and it goes through Atlantic Canada. Then we start to see the drier conditions and some precipitation wants to come in from the south. So that's next week. Monday is Thanksgiving. Temperature's not bad. Thank you, Natalie. You know, you look back on a list like that and you realize what kind of wild summer it was, wasn't it, with all that flooding rain. Well, we're not going to be seeing flooding rain necessarily, but there is some in the forecast. I'll have details on that for you in a moment. First, though, let's talk fall car maintenance. And who better to do that with than Kevin Yard. Thank you, Kevin. Some items in there I had not thought of, I will admit. We have rainfall, 15 millimeters would be the high end, about 5 to 10 expected. With our rain that's moving through, and then it off it goes into Labrador and Atlantic Canada, getting most of that beyond that time frame. But look at this, temperatures sitting in the low teens.
Hi there, I'm Chris May.
I'm Sheryl Plouffe. We have a lunar eclipse that's happening tonight. Are we going to see good viewing conditions is the question.
Area of the world, you're going to see just the end of it. Who is going to see gorgeous conditions will likely be Winnipeg, and good conditions the further west you move.
Hey, at 43 past, we'll have Andrew Fazekas, our night sky guy, explain all of the science behind the lunar eclipse coming up, so stay tuned for that.
This is the second of 4 in the tetrad of 4. Blood moons. Clear skies through the prairies. We have still light snow pushing in through northern Manitoba, northwestern Ontario. We have a low, this is a low we were talking about, Sheryl, that looks like it could have some weather making its way into the Maritimes in the coming days.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the biggest weather maker that we have going on right now. And in the Charlevoix region of Quebec, we do have a rainfall warning in place. And also,
Storm hunters, it's the tornado terror. Now, this is what Mark Robinson does. He chases tornadoes. We have a sneak peek of the next edition of Storm Hunters getting set to start right now.
All right, some good advice. Thank you very much. We are taking a look at Rainfall, that's really going to be in the forecast for us right through till tomorrow morning. So the drive into work in the GTA will be a wet one. We saw that low pressure system developing. It moves off into Ottawa and Montreal, and it actually brings them higher totals of rainfall than for us. That's for sure. Almost double the amount that we're expected to see. 5 to 15 millimeters next week, of course, being Thanksgiving. We want to know what the forecast holds. Look at the temperatures now. We're starting to get into the high teens. There were some rumblings here behind the scenes yesterday about 20 degrees on Monday. We might see some changes here, so definitely keep an eye on that number. But other than that, we're looking at some rainfall Monday and Tuesday.
All right, here we go. I'm Chris May.
I'm Sheryl Plouffe. We have a lunar eclipse coming tonight, but
bad news, it happens early morning. So the sun will be rising. You're going to only see a partial amount of what you could have experienced otherwise.
Elsewhere across Western Canada, we have fair conditions, so that means that there is some cloud cover. Of course, you have to get up pretty early to see it all. And I'm sure we're going to be inundated on social media tomorrow with blood moon images. So if you do sleep through it, you're likely to see it anyway.
The clear skies continue throughout the prairies. Aside from maybe some mid to high level cloud, we have more cloud cover, a denser cloud cover in British Columbia. And then through Ontario and into Quebec, especially to the St. Lawrence, we have heavy amounts of rain. Charlevoix.
Speaking of natural disasters, tornado terror, here's a sneak peek. The hotspot in Ontario yesterday, St. Catharines at 18 degrees. Overall, though, we had temperatures that were sitting in about the mid-teens. Not too bad. It's about seasonal for this time of year. And through this afternoon, we could expect temperatures to be similar, some scattered showers. Let's go to Kevin right now with things we should have in our trunk at this time of year. Thank you so much, Kevin. This evening, we will have some showers that are coming through the GTA, and we're also going to be looking, of course, to the skies, aren't we? We want to see the lunar eclipse, the blood moon that's happening. In terms of our conditions, we're calling that fair. There's a possibility of seeing it, but we want to know more about the lunar eclipse, don't we? Here's Chris. Thank you so much, Andrew and Chris. Appreciate that. So just to review, we do have fair conditions, but again, you'll have to get up very early in the morning to be able to have a good look at it. Social media, of course, will be all over that tomorrow. Weather highlights for Wednesday, isolated showers, but you can see that the rain continues in Ottawa and in Montreal. And then we have a low coming in from the U.S. That may skirt by the lower lakes on Thursday. As in terms of Friday's forecast, at this point looks to be chilly but drier. And then, of course, looking into our extended long-range forecast to Monday, where we will have possibly some rain for Thanksgiving. Saturday, though, feeling like fall, so we would not expect anything otherwise, right? So quickly looking at our 7-day forecast here for Toronto, there's the rain for Monday and Tuesday of next week. In the meantime, we have temperatures in the low teens, which is pretty much seasonal. We have Chris May coming up for you in just a few minutes.